guys, this is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about creating an epic life on your terms. And today we're talking about the INFJ dark side, and we're going to talk about how to integrate it, how to make it part of our identity and our personality. Because most of the time when you hear or read or watch anything about the INFJ dark side, it's always this thing that we keep hidden. Because once it comes out, when it comes out, it's this monster. And it's really particular because it stings so much, and so many of us carry it as a badge of honor, something we don't want to use, but if we do, it's gonna hit hard. But I'm gonna show you how you can use it on a daily basis. If you follow Carl Jung, you know very well how important it is to integrate that part into our life so we can utilize it and it will help move our life forward. Before we get started, I want to remind you, if you want to take the next step in creating an epic life on your terms, then work with me privately or join the bootcamp, all the information you find below. So let's first talk about what an INFJ dark side is. It's that part of us that has the possibility to hurt like nothing else. It's that part of us that knows exactly what the other one wants. It's the part of us that knows exactly where to hit him, where it hurts the most. And it's also those thoughts of hurting somebody, of knowing that we have the power to. And in a lot of cases, we think that it's wrong. This is not who we want to be. We want to be spiritual beings. We want to be kind to each other. We want to be one with everyone. So how can we live with this part of us? So what do? We mostly hide it. We don't live it out. And we think that this is the kind thing to do, when in the end, we're just suppressing our own truth. Because very rarely it looks like you saying to another person, oh, I know you're weak. It's more like you know that that person thinks they're weak, and if you would live out your strength, if you would do those things that you love about yourself and that make you feel excited about life and that you are winning, if you would live that part out, the person that feels weak about themselves, they would feel more weak once they see what you're doing. And you're so aware of it. As INFJs, we all are, that we keep that hidden. Because how cruel would it be for us to live out that truth? Because what we're actually doing is hurting that person on purpose. That's what we believe. We believe that we're responsible for how that person feels, and in order to make sure that they don't experience that pain, we keep it hidden. We're also afraid of the consequences that this might bring with itself. Meaning, once I say my truth, once I live out my truth, as in emotionally, I show that part of me, my own truth, I live it out on the outside. Once I do that, who knows what that person might do? On the one hand, they might hurt themselves. They might really be depressed because for the first time, they can't hide from the truth anymore. The truth that they have tried to neglect, the truth that they have tried to forget. Now, by you showing up in this way, they would see it. So we feel first off responsible for that. But then we also don't know how our relationship with that person is going to be. Maybe they will never ever want to have anything to do with us. And don't we fear this on all levels? Not just with that one person, but probably with every single person that we've ever met. Isn't it part of our own understanding of ourselves that we exist in a world where we neglect ourselves? That this is this martyr thing that we have. We feel that's a strength. I get to help others by not showing and living out my strength. Actually, we might feel it's a weakness to live it out because that would mean that we have to fight. When in reality, the best thing for everybody would be if we think of the common good for everybody. So that dark side never sees the day of light, but when it does, it stings like nothing else. And so I'm asking you, why has it been that so many of us feel that this is the right way to approach it? Why do we feel that this is something that we need to keep hidden? Everybody else seems to have the right to live out all of their emotions, their anger, their frustration, their sadness. But once we do, we would just hurt people. We're too strong. That's the fear that we have. And I know this feeling. I felt the same way my entire life. I have kept that part hidden of me, and sometimes it comes out and it stings so much that I've made all my friends cry. It's very close to the INFJ door slam in a lot of situations because the door slam is not just about saying goodbye and not looking back. Most of the time, it's us telling the truth and knowing that once you express that truth, that person won't be able to be in any kind of relationship with you anymore because they know that you know their deepest fear, their deepest insecurity. Up until this point, you have pretended that you didn't know. So they, of course, thought that you didn't know. But once you express that, they know your truth. So that is the dark side. That is the thing that I keep hearing over and over again from my clients, from all of you commenting, or from my members of the bootcamp. This thing keeps us back because we don't want to be that person who is mean, who is aggressive, who lets out that dark side of us. Because just because we have the power to doesn't mean that we want to do that. It doesn't mean that we want to utilize that. But in the back of our mind, we always know we have that strength. So if we listen to it, doesn't this sound positive? Isn't that what a strong leader is? Somebody who could hurt other people, but who doesn't? Somebody who has the power to be cruel, but never uses it? That's how it sounds like on the surface. And if it were true, if this is how most of us would live out their dark side, then that would be fantastic. But that's just not the case. That's the story we keep telling ourselves. But in a lot of ways, it's passive-aggressive behavior. And we still, on a subconscious level, either let people know that there's this part of us that really is angry towards them, there's this part of us that could hurt them, but we won't do it because we're too calm for this, we're too zen for this, we're too strong for this. But at some point, we snap. At some point, it comes out. And I'm here to tell you, you can live your life this way, but you're gonna keep staying in a little box. That's how the INFJ dark side feels if you haven't integrated it. Because what does integration look like? It looks like us taking responsibility for all our personality traits, for everything that we are. And up until this point, we don't want to take responsibility for that dark side. We don't want to utilize it. We don't want to make it part of who we are. We see other people doing it, but not us. We will never get angry. We will never get really mean towards somebody else because that's not who we want to be. But with that, we're not accepting of ourselves. We are making ourselves to be different than everybody else. When in reality, just because we are a unique personality type, just because we have traits that maybe others don't and vice versa, that doesn't make us more special than anybody else. We're human as everybody else is. And I don't care how rare our personality is, we are just as worthy as everybody else. We're not special in a way that the rules that go for everybody, they don't go for us. And at some point you recognize that. And within that, that's where the power lays. Because you understand that yes, I have very unique traits, but as long as I'm not living them out, as long as I don't accept them as part of me, I'm not really saying that I'm worth it. Because I as a person, we as INFJs, we have that dark side in us. That's part of who we are. And if we don't start loving that part of us, if we don't start accepting it and understand that we have the right to live it out, that we're not burdening anybody by living out our own truth. We have the right as people on this earth, like everybody else, to experience all our emotions, including this. And that might mean that at first you might think you're selfish or that you're mean, that you're hurting somebody else. But once you start doing it, you recognize that all this time you have just not been kind to yourself. You've just not allowed yourself to experience this as a normal emotion that we all have to go through in order to overcome certain things, in order to let so much out. Most of the time, this dark side builds up because of all the emotions we allow others to project on us. Every single time you're talking to somebody and you allow them to talk badly towards you and you don't say anything back. Every single time you feel that they have the right to act like this because it's easier for you. They are really struggling. They have all these emotions and that's okay. And you take that on. And you keep building this up in yourself. There's no way to process this. It's like you're taking on all this heavy weight that others are giving towards you. You feel like you have to take it on because only if you do, you're worthy. That's the truth. That's why so many of us are afraid of expressing that feeling, that thing that we keep hidden for so long. Because the thing is this, we can take on so much. The things that you're good at, you tend to overdo. That's why the burnout video I did the last time is so important when it comes to this. We have the power to take on so much negativity from others. And we started doing this as kids because we just want people to be happy. We want them to be full of light. And we feel like if I take this on, then they will be happy again. But it comes back to the fact that we feel it's okay to burden ourselves in order to make others feel good. But two things are happening. First off, they keep on hurting themselves. It's not like you take on their pain and because you do that, they say, oh, now my life is great. You're actually enabling them. You're allowing them to keep on hurting you and in a lot of cases themselves because there's no boundary setting. There is no consequence for them. The other person is hurting you and not just you, but probably 10 other people simultaneously. And there's nobody telling them that's not okay. Because even if you would say it in a completely completely rational voice, they wouldn't recognize it. The only way people really recognize what kind of emotional burden they're putting onto others is if you are giving it back to them. So every single time when you're afraid of expressing that truth of yours, remember, it's an emotion that they have projected onto you in the first place. It's a negative emotion that they have expressed and you have taken on. And the only thing we do is to say, I'm putting up a mirror. I'm just gonna make that person feel what they just made me feel. Because that's not my emotion that I'm feeling, that's theirs. So please let it out so they can deal with their own emotions. It's not your responsibility to take on their pain, and you're not helping them in the first place. We always talk about the cup that needs to be overflowing, that cup of energy that has to have more than it needs in order to be able to give to others over and over again. But most of the time, what we do is we allow others to take from our cup. When they express negativity towards us, we just let them take out our energy. And we keep on doing it and we keep on doing it, and we feel like we're doing something kind because we're giving them some of our energy out of that water in our cup. But the more we give while we sacrifice our own energy, the less we have to give. That is the scenario that we have to keep up front in our mind all the time. We have to put ourselves first. This is survival. Before you can thrive, before you can really help people, you have to make sure that you're taken care of, that you're your best friend, that you're the parent to your inner child. And as long as you feel that you don't have the right to express your dark thoughts, your anger, your frustration, those parts of you that you feel are stronger than maybe the people around you, and because they're stronger, you're not living them out. Because how would everybody else feel once they see that you're taking charge of your life, that you're making it happen? Aren't they gonna be aware of how much they're hurting? That is the thing that we keep telling ourselves. But if we're our best friend, if we're our parent, we will make sure that we as humans have the right to express those emotions. Those are our human rights. And you know what? The world can take it. The world can live it. Because if you see people around you who do express their anger, who do express their happiness at the same time, because most of the time when we're neglecting our dark thoughts or dark side, we're also numbing out that part of us that could experience ecstasy and excitement. That thing that will make us feel alive. And as long as we don't feel that we have the birthright to live out all of our thoughts, all of our frustration, to let it out, that it's okay because we're human and we can't do everything perfectly, that we're lovable although we have this part in us. That is what will make us feel complete. And that is how you utilize your dark side. If you want to look at it from a cognitive function perspective, it's actually SE that we're neglecting. It's living out our SE. It's living out all our thoughts, all of our understanding that comes from the combination of NI and TI and FE, all that understanding that we have gathered, for example, over another person, living that out in a very precise SE manner, bringing it to the forefront, bringing it outside. Because the way we express SE, we always express it with a combination of FE, meaning it's an emotional response. You are gonna make another person feel something. That's the dark side. When we think about INFJ dark side, it's always this: expressing a very precise truth that hurts somebody else, that is powerful and that hits exactly where it has the biggest effect. Because we love SE, we value it, but we're afraid of taking responsibility for it. Because in a lot of ways, we don't know how big it's going to be. How often have we been scared of expressing this SE because of all the things that could happen once we do? And at the same time, we're afraid that once we do, we cannot rely on others to do that part for us. Because very often when we haven't integrated that part of us, if you look at it from the Carl Jung perspective, we haven't integrated the animus or anima, we haven't integrated that part of us that up until that point we project on the outside, maybe on a person, but maybe on life altogether. We feel that this is happening outside of us, but once we take control of it, we know that nobody is going to take care of it for us, because they will see that we have the strength to do it, that it isn't as strong as maybe somebody who is an ESTP, but that once we know that we are taking it, it's so uniquely us that of course nobody's gonna help us. Because the only reason why people are helping us so much in this regard is because we're allowing them to take more from us than what we're taking from them. That is how that interaction goes. But once you say, I'm ready, I'm willing, and I'm able to integrate that dark side into who I am, make it part of my personality, you see that what this is force. That it's force that will help you to bring your vision to life. That it's force and excitement that will make you motivated enough to go forward. We need that fighting spirit in order to care enough about our life to make a difference. That's why I'm such a big fan of those motivational videos that really tap into this, that allow us to be really manipulated in the most positive way of wanting to fight for ourselves. It's about taking that dark side and making it part of who we are and living it out on a daily basis. Becoming somebody who is a fighter, becoming somebody who is a warrior. Because most of the time, up until we do this, we see ourselves as maybe a sage, somebody who's very calm and zen, and there's nothing in us that wants to fight. We think it's not spiritual, it wouldn't make us this great person. But what we neglect in that no matter how much even I love to work with archetypes, and I love in a lot of ways to feel like a priestess, and I love feeling like a warrior. All of these things are archetypes. They help us to get closer to who we really are. But in the end, we're human. In the end, we're people. We're not this image that somebody wants to project onto us, and we're not supposed to try to be that image that people like. We are perfectly imperfect. None of us fit into the box. None of us is completely kind all the time. We have negative emotions as well, and as long as we neglect them, we're not giving ourselves the opportunity to really experience life and start fighting for ourselves and loving our life and loving ourselves. I know how hard it is to tap into this dark side because it's not like this one time that you let all of it out. It's about saying, no matter what, I will not hide this part anymore. This will be part of my personality. I will become a warrior, and I'm okay with people knowing that I'm a warrior because that gets me closer to being complete than everything else I've done so far where I have neglected this. And I remember the day precisely when I decided I'm gonna tap into my dark side, and I'll show it and I'll experience it, and I'm gonna bring it to the outside in a way that is not deniable anymore. And I knew that the consequences would be really harsh. I knew that my life would change, that people will see me differently, but I've gotten to a point where I didn't have another choice. I was pushed to the corner, and I knew I have to express it. I have to bite back. For the first time in my life, I thought I have to bite back in a way that's really gonna hurt the other person. And I was so afraid of the consequences. I thought once that person, and with that, the entire world would see that dark side of me, there's no way anybody would ever want to protect me. There would be no way that anybody would wanna accept me and love me and respect me, because they would all see that dark, selfish, forceful nature of mine. But you know what? It was the best thing I'd ever did. Because in a lot of ways, people didn't want to protect me anymore because they saw how strong I was, that I could take care of this on my own. So what happened was I recognized that if I take responsibility for that strength myself, I get to catapult my life to where I want it to be. I don't need others to do that work for me, and I don't have to make compromises for it. It's not that people now don't support me. It's not that I don't have people who help me or who want to protect me. But it's not on those things that I can do for myself. I don't feel like I'm all alone. I don't feel like I have this dark soul that is within me and people don't like me for it. I have integrated it in a way where I accept that this is part of me. And I love that part because it's that part that gives me the energy and the strength to fight for myself. If I didn't have that, there was no way I could have gotten my life to where it is right now. So I love this part of me. And for no price in the world, I would go back to how it was. And you know what happens? I don't flip like this anymore. I don't make my friends cry anymore. And it's not because I'm weaker or because my friendships have changed so much. It's because I have changed. I have kept this part hidden in me for all this time, and from time to time it hits somebody really harshly. But now that I've made it part of myself, it's like I've expanded. Before I was here and I knew there was something that wanted to come out, and from time to time I just couldn't take it, and then I punched real hard. But now I have expanded myself up to here. So now I never feel like there's something over boiling and at some point it's gonna hit really hard. I live it out through everything that I do. My life is bigger. The way I express myself is bigger. The way I show up in the world is bigger. And I do that because of my dark side. So don't neglect it ever. It's part of you. You can be proud of it. It's a lovable trait and you deserve to be loved, accepted, and respected with that. Don't ever feel it's something that you need to hide in order to make other people comfortable. Once you open those floodgates, it's part of you and you can't deny it anymore. And I wish for all of you that you will go this journey because it's the most fulfilling thing ever. And if you want to have some assistance in this process, work with me privately or join the bootcamp. You find all the information in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, watch the video on the INFJ door slam, because in a lot of ways, going for the INFJ door slam happens because we're not living out our dark side in the first place. I really hope that helped you. Like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I talk to you next time. Bye.